For all the new stuff, press on the bell icon and make sure you get mobile and email notifications from eTimes.
Hi guys, my name is Sama. I am a winner from season 1 of Right India, and today I will be taking forward the 4th edition of the To Be Continued series. This version is called The Bridge, and I will be reading from the laptop, so please allow me to read and excuse any fumbles. Yeah? Let's begin. Okay. As he drove the bridge in the darkness, Kamal felt confident that he would be able to go through with it today. Dressed in a t-shirt and track pants, wearing his home slippers, he switched the channels on the radio to listen to something upbeat. It would be his 3rd attempt this week. 4 days ago, while writing the letter to his wife, a teardrop had fallen on the word responsible, smudging the ink of the alphabets. In the second letter, the words please and money in different sentences were ruined. So he had typed out his explanation on the computer. The printout was neatly sitting in the glove compartment of his car. He parked under the dim street light and started to walk to the center of the bridge. At midnight, this side of the bustling city was deserted. His steps were slow, his heart beating fast. He looked at the screensaver of his phone, the smiling photo of his twins, a girl and a boy. They would be fast asleep in their individual beds, the boy dreaming of MasterChef food and the girl of K-pop stars. He had imagined how his life would how his wife would react hundreds of times in the last 1 month, but he could never think of his children's reaction. What would they think of him when they were grown up? Would they miss him at their graduation ceremonies? Would they remember him on their wedding days? His mind went back to the time they were born. He had almost dropped the boy the first time he held him. The memory made him smile. He then thought of his late parents. Would he meet his mother on the other side? Won't she be happy to see him? His steps grew steadier. The closer he got to the center of the parapet, the lighter the weight felt on his mind. He thought of that moment between two worlds. Would he be able to hold on to it, experience it with clarity? The prospect was exciting. Only when he reached his spot did he notice. Someone was standing on the opposite side. A man, thin and tall, just like himself. Hurriedly, he crossed the empty road. "Hello," he said in a whisper. The other man turned, startled. Kamal thought he was at least 20 years younger than him, the football jersey too loose on his body. The other man smiled at Kamal. "What are you doing here?" Kamal asked, partly possessive of his bridge and his plan and partly worried for the other man. The other man simply kept looking at the black water. "What is your name?" Kamal asked, moving closer. "Partho," the other man said, not looking at Kamal. "Are you from Mumbai?" Kamal asked. "No, sir, I've come from Kolkata." Kamal had been to Kolkata once many years ago, much before he was married. Partial memories from his trip reminded him of the fun he had attending his school friend's wedding. He hadn't spoken to this friend in years now. They had lost touch soon after Kamal's own wedding. The nostalgia lingered only for a few moments. "Why are you here, Partho?" Kamal asked. Partho looked at him directly for the first time. He didn't speak, but Kamal got his answer. For several moments, they stood quietly, leaning over the parapet. Kamal admired the stillness, the composure of the young man. Had Partho come on this bridge for the first time, or was he making yet another attempt just like himself? He wondered. "Do you want to go first?" Kamal asked. Partho nodded no. "You want me to go first then?" was his next question. Partho simply didn't react. "You're not in a hurry, are you?" Kamal asked. Partho shrugged, undecided. "How about we sit here for some time? I want to know more about you," Kamal said. Partho looked at him and half smiled. "Okay," he said and sat down. So that was my part of the story. Now I'd like to pass the baton on to Nikhil Samant to give the story his own twist.
So hi everyone, I am Nikhil Samant, one of the Right India Season 1 winners, and this is chapter 4 of the new series To Be Continued by TOI Books. Now Sama has given us a wonderful, intriguing beginning of our new story, The Bridge. and I am just going to continue it. So here we go. Ritu could spend hours looking at Hugli's free-flowing water. She had always found that sound therapeutic. Away from many of Kolkata's noisy and crowded ghats was a riverbank, where Ritu found silence and solace, an escape from the chaos that a life was. At a little over 40, Ritu still looked gorgeous as ever. Dusky skin, dark brown eyes, and a delicate hourglass figure. All her adult life, she was aware of the impact that she had on men. From hikes in paychecks to many undeserving privileges, she had unabashedly used it to further her desire of living a comfortable life. Ambition and morality were strangers in Ritu's dictionary. No strings attached was the ground rule she had chalked out for herself. But, as it always happened, every rule came with an exception. Ritu stared at the water, but her eyes were blank. It was late, but she did not want to leave. Her life was at crossroads, and she wanted neither of the roadside. She was torn between the choices she had. On the one hand, she could silently accept the bitter reality and live with it. And on the other, she could cave into her heart, but it meant reporting a missing person case to the police. And the police was the last thing she wanted to involve in this bizarre turn of events. One way or the other, she was in for a hard-hitting loss. Her dilemma had already cost her 2 days, and Ritu very well knew what could happen in 2 days in a city like Kolkata, assuming, of course, he still was in Kolkata. A plop in the water brought her back out of her despondent thoughts. She checked her watch and reluctantly decided to leave. It was already way past the time that was safe for her to be out alone, that too far outside the city. Returning to her car, Ritu felt a nip in the air. The night seemed darker and colder than usual. At a distance, street lights shone on the cars and yellow taxis whistling past each other. She took her mobile out of her purse and opened the dialed numbers. The last number was dialed over 40 times, to no avail. She again dialed the number, but it was still switched off. Helplessness gripped her. With trembling hands, she dialed the other number from her call log, which was dialed nearly as many times. And as it had happened for last few days, there was no answer. Why would he answer your calls now that you have set him free? She blabbered in frustration, nearly hurling the mobile in her hand. The firewall in her mind finally cracked. Dark thoughts flooded her mind. Ritu needed to get home to make a sense of the mess she found herself in. Though there was nothing concrete to suggest that he had sought him out, she knew in her heart that he had. She was consumed by this constant niggling thought. Never before had he once asked about the past, but 5 days ago he had caught Ritu off guard with that question. With anger and frustration, she banged her hands on the steering wheel. The link between his inquisition and disappearance was alarmingly obvious. It was a double blow for her, losing him and her long-term cash cow. She had surrendered to the ultimate blackmailing paradox. If you reveal the ugly truth, then you must surrender your prey. When Ritu reached home, her head was spinning. She had mostly decided what she wanted to do, but she needed some rest to think about how to do it. All her life, she had riskily tackled the uncertainties of future. But this time, the disappearance of her son was taking a heavy toll on herself. Ritu reached for her mobile one more time and dialed the number. Every single ring on the other side made her frantic than ever. There was no response once again. Out of sheer desperation, she dialed the second number again. The number you have dialed is currently switched off. Please try again later. Ritu could not hold her tears back. Her heart raced, throat choked. Her legs could barely hold her. Losing all strength, she fell on her knees. She felt hollow within. Her life was a void without the only love in her life. She finally gave in. She knew what had to be done, but before that, she decided to try one last time. She opened the message box in her mobile and typed, "I'm sorry for what I said. Please come back. I miss you."
Hello, my name is Koheli Bhattacharya and I am a Write India winner. And today we are doing this to be continued series, which Sama has already done part 1 and Nikhil has given me a continuation. So I will be continuing this story, which is The Bridge, and moving on. So Ritu was about to put down her phone when she saw the tiny ticks in the messenger turn to blue. He had read her message. There was just one string in her no strings attached life, and he had just tugged on that string attached straight to her heart. Her Partho, her son. He even replied to her message. "I think I'm beginning to understand why you did what you did, but I still have a lot of things to figure out about you, about me, about us. TTYL, okay?" The almost prompt reply, the heartening abbreviation, meaning he would talk to her later, meant there was hope yet. All bridges were not burnt. Yet. Ritu sighed in relief and replied with an "Okay, love you, Babu." Ritu's relief knew no bounds. She still had that niggling worry about the blackmailing party not responding. But she would worry about it tomorrow. It was already too late at night now. What bad could happen if she waited just one more day, she thought, and went to sleep. Now, on the bridge, Partho read the message, gave a half smile, switched off his phone, and turned to talk to the stranger he had met on the bridge. "Sit down. Make yourself comfortable, Mr. Kamalnath Kulkarni." So Partho continues his story. "My mother, she's a real bitch. And I mean it in the nicest way. But she isn't the nicest person in the world. All my life, I have seen her ruthlessly put her career and her needs before everything else. I have seen more men enter our house than I have cared to remember. I have heard and seen her make underhand deals at work. She has not been above backstabbing a colleague and climbed the corporate ladder, but it never bothered me. You know what they say, blood is thicker than water, and she was my mother. I never asked who my father was. I figured he was one of her many flings, who hadn't been special enough to her to have mentioned him in my 22 years of life, and I never asked her. What was important was that I was important enough to her. I was important enough to her. She had given birth to me, hadn't she? She could have just aborted me or abandoned me, but she hadn't. She was a single mother. She wanted to provide a good life for herself and her son, and maybe that's why money and prestige was so important to her. And she couldn't help it if men were attracted to her. Yes, I made excuses for the way she led her life all my life because she was my mother and I loved her. You've got to realize here that she was all I had and I was all she had. We were a team, us versus them. And so when a few months back, I realized that she had been blackmailing someone, I didn't bother about it much. I figured it must be one of the many presidents and chairmen of companies that she had slept with and was now blackmailing them with the affair. Served them right, is what I thought. But then something happened a few days back which shook my entire life. Oh, it can't be heard, is it? Can you guys hear me? Flexia? Oh, I didn't ask. Is this good? Yeah. So continuing. Then something happened a few days back which shook my entire life, my entire belief system. Kamal had been intently hanging on to every word that Partho had said. And then what happened? Partho looked straight into Kamal's eyes. His gaze was direct and his smile was unnerving. Well, look who is all excited. Why do you care, man? You were here to jump off the bridge, right? Then why are you listening to a stranger's story? I would have just spent all this energy telling you all about my life only to have all this effort wasted and my story deep diving into the river. Kamal was taken aback. How did this young man know within minutes of meeting him that he was contemplating ending his life, when even his family and friends had no idea of what was going on in his mind, even though they surrounded him all the time? Yes, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I am here to end my life. And I thought you were here to do the same. Partho laughed. No, dude. I am in Mumbai to get away from my mother, not to get away from Mother Earth itself. Anyhow, let's finish my life story so you can finish yours, shall we? So as I said, my mother was blackmailing someone and they hired a private investigator to do some digging into my mother's past to uncover her Achilles heel. And in doing so, they discovered me. Turns out, my mother is not my mother after all. Turns out, my biological mother died when I was 2 and Ritu, my current mother, adopted me. Yup, they sent all these details with proof to me in a letter, asking me to tell my mother to stop blackmailing them or else. It kind of shook my entire faith in family. My entire life was a lie. And for this one mistake, I couldn't forgive her. I couldn't forgive Ritu. My entire us versus them theory and blood is thicker than water philosophy went out the window when I realized I wasn't even her blood at all. And there was that other thing as well. Now, leaving you with this ending with ... and there was the other thing as well, I hand over the story to Tishampati, who is going to be our last author of our story called The Bridge. I was the third author in this series.
Hello everyone, I'm Tishampati Sen. I'm one of the winners of Write India Season 1. And I'm here to take forward the story from where Kuheli left it, and I'm here to close and finish the story called The Bridge. So here we go. But his voice trailed off. He looked at Kamal. He had a strange look on his face. Partho looked down and smiled softly. Everything all right, Mr. Kulkarni? Kamal kept looking at him and then said slowly, It's not a coincidence that we happen to meet, is it, Partho? You know who I am, don't you? Partho looked at him for a few moments and then laughed. For 6 years, you've been paying Ma to keep me in the dark. I'm the one she told you about. The love child that scared the living daylights out of you. I saw your messages to her. She saves all her messages. Very funny to see a grown, successful man grovel. Although I didn't care much for being called the mistake. That hurt. I got to know about you a month back and did some research about you. It was all fine. I was wondering how and when to introduce myself into your life. Of course, Ma was against it. Then things went south when I told her that I knew that I was adopted. We had a big fight, and that's when she told me that I was on my own and that I wouldn't get a penny from her anymore. I told her I would be coming to see you soon and that her game was up. I haven't spoken to her for a week now. Partho was quiet for a bit and then added, I have been watching you for a couple of days now. Every night you come here and stare at the water. I soon realized it's a death plan. I was hoping you would come today, and I'm glad I came early. Kamal was very quiet throughout. Then he cleared his throat softly. The night suddenly felt so much colder. Ritu messaged me about a week back saying that I can stop my payments to her now since you know. She also told me that you may come to see me. I didn't know how to explain you to my family, my society. It was a shock for me. I was completely devastated. But if Ritu adopted you, then it's all been one lie, whispered Kamal. Then in fact, it's all over. I'm free. Partha nodded slowly and then looked up and said, "You could be free of all this if..." The words were loaded with a hidden meaning and the tone took Kamal by surprise. He stammered for a bit and then softly mumbled, What do you mean?" Partha looked out onto the ocean and then gently lifted Kamal upon his feet and started taking a stroll in the direction of Kamal's parked car. He looked straight into Kamal's eyes and said, "It's a big deal for me to give up being your son. I'm somebody as long as I'm your son. I was thinking for a while as to what is the best way to bring me into your life. After all, I would have a claim on my inheritance as well, won't I?" Kamal stared at him dumbfounded, his head reeling. "What are you talking about? You just said that Ritu adopted you. You're not my son." Partha smiled. "Sure, but how will you prove it? I, on the other hand, have various WhatsApp messages that you have sent to Ma referring to me as your son. I especially like the one where you said, 'I know that your son is my son, but he can never know.'" Kamal stared at Partha in disbelief, the world slipping under his feet. "What the hell do you want?" he snapped back. 1 crore, came the simple, clear answer. "What nonsense," hissed Kamal. "Be reasonable, Kamal," cajoled Partha. "It will be near impossible for you to prove that I'm not your illegitimate son. Sure, you can do a DNA test and all, but think of all the costs you'll pay, the shame you'll bring on everyone and the disrepute. On the other hand, both Ma and I will testify that I am your biological son. Surely a crore is nothing compared to all that." Kamal just crumbled to the floor. This was new. So what's this new game now? I pay you and I keep paying your mother also?" groaned Kamal. "Well, I can maybe help you there," said Partha after a pause. "Ritu Ghosh may have brought me up, but she shouldn't have played the power games with me. The thing I was about to tell you is that I recently learned that she has been the informant to the police against the Bachi gang in Kolkata. She has close connections with some of the Bachi members, if you know what I mean. But if they get to know that it is she who has been getting their people arrested and killed, they will make life worse than death for her. I think you'll find the phrase Bachidi will make a big difference in your interactions with her. That's the name she uses to communicate with the police." Kamal stopped in front of his car. Partha's face was glowing under the streetlight, his eyes shining. "They say knowledge is power, Mr. Kulkarni. I just shared some of my power with you. Now do the right thing and pay me." So much had happened in so little time that all of this felt like a movie, a bad dream maybe. Checkbook in the car is all that he managed to mumble as he staggered to his car. Kamal sat in the driver's seat and rested his head on the steering wheel. He opened the glove compartment and his typewritten suicide note to his wife fell out. The damn note had gotten wet again. Page 1 was no longer legible, and page 2 was just about comprehensible. It was wet in parts. He read the letter, all that was left of it, with tears in his eyes. Then he reread it. This time there was resolve in his eyes. He knew he had no choice. It was why he was meant to come here tonight. "Just look at what's happening in our city nowadays," Ramya twittered as she buttered the toast and peered into the newspaper on the table next to her. "Someone committed suicide last night by jumping in front of a car on the bridge, it seems. Obviously no trace of the car, not even the integrity to take him to the hospital. Police suspected foul play in the beginning, but then they found his suicide note." She turned the page of the newspaper and read aloud from the page. "The note was found half torn and wet on his body, with the first page completely drenched and the second page only saying, 'So I have no option but to leave this world. I have tried to endure it all with all the strength I have, but I cannot do any more. I hold Ritu Ghosh as wholly and fully responsible for pushing me to do this. The police are on the lookout for a Ritu Ghosh.'" Ramya read the rest of the article in silence. Then she sighed as she turned the page. Poor kid. He was just a boy, in the prime of his youth. So sad, no? Grunted Kamal as he sipped his cup of tea. Thank you, folks. That's the end. I hope you liked it. Thanks.